My name is Sandy, 50 years old. This story is about my daughter, Helen, and the people around her. Helen passed away at the age of 25, but her death uncovered a significant truth. When Helen was young, I lost my husband to illness. In the years that followed, we supported each other and lived side by side. Helen always had a smile on her face, and from a young age, she found joy in making those around her happy, a kind-hearted child. There were times when she suffered because I was a single mother, but she grew up to be very straightforward and honest. I take pride in having raised Helen by myself. Our bond only grew stronger with each challenge we overcame, and we were envied by many for our close relationship. Helen met John, her husband, just after graduating from college. Introduced by a friend. John is really kind. I never thought I would meet such a sincere person. John appeared to be a sincere and well-mannered young man, and I welcomed him. When Helen accepted John's proposal, she must have felt the happiest in the world. Thank you for allowing me to marry Helen. I promised to make her happy. I remember him saying that and looked very sincere. At that time, I trusted him without any doubt. Although I felt a bit lonely when I heard about their marriage, I wholeheartedly celebrated my beloved daughter's wedding. However, the happiness did not last long. After they started their married life, I gradually began to see another side of John, hidden behind his superficial politeness. Even after getting married, Helen and I used to meet often, but she continued working and became increasingly busy, making our meetings less frequent. Worried, I called her. Helen, how's life with John? If you have any trouble, feel free to talk to me anytime. Don't worry, Mom. Things are going well with John. It's just a bit busy. John seemed busy with work, and Helen looked worried. I was still concerned about Helen, so I decided to visit her home on my day off. When I rang the bell, Helen greeted me. Mom, what brings you here all of a sudden? Helen, it's been a while. Helen, whom I hadn't seen in a long time, looked significantly thinner than the last time I saw her. Helen, are you busy? Are you eating properly? Yes, don't worry. It's just been a bit busy with work recently. You've lost so much weight, John must be worried too, right? John has been so busy with work every day, we haven't really talked much. Don't overdo it, and remember you can always rely on me. Despite Helen's smile, her expression seemed a little lonely. How about we go on a trip together next time? Just mother and daughter, let's relax together. Yeah. I'm excited about traveling after so long. Then, Mom, I'll look up some places. Let's coordinate our schedules. Okay, I'll call you soon. After making plans to travel, I left Helen's house. I never imagined that this would be our last conversation. A few days later, I received a call from Helen's husband, John, informing me that Helen had passed away. John, why did Helen die? What happened? I can't believe it. Was she sick? Did anything unusual happen recently? I questioned John, unable to hide my agitation. No, it doesn't seem like she was sick, it was more like overworked. John, too, was at a loss for words upon hearing of Helen's sudden death. Both I and my parents thought Helen looked thinner, but she seemed fine otherwise. We never imagined she was working that hard. It's all the company's fault. John insisted that the company was to blame for everything. Oh Helen, work must have been so hard for you. I'm sorry I didn't notice when we met last time. You must have been suffering. I spoke to Helen while looking at a photo of us taken at her wedding. And so, not accepting the reality of Helen's loss, the day of the funeral arrived. I greeted John and entered the funeral parlor. John appeared unable to hide his sorrow over losing his beloved wife. However, next to John, despite it being a funeral, was a woman wearing lots of makeup for the occasion. Is she from the company? Such inappropriate red lipstick. Unbelievable. As I watched the woman, another woman approached and spoke to me. She had the face of someone who had been crying. Are you Helen's mother? Yes, who are you? My name is Tally, and I was Helen's best friend. I don't even know what to say at a time like this. Tally? Helen often spoke of you as a dependable friend. I can't believe this has happened to her. I can't believe it either. I need to talk to you about something important, ma'am. It sounds like a very important matter. I decided to step aside to talk with Tally. Tally said that he often asked Helen for advice. Recently, John's behavior has been strange. He's been spending less and less time at home. Helen, doesn't that mean he's probably cheating? But we're married. I don't want to give up easily, and I wanted to fix things. Helen, take care of your own happiness too. It's hard to see you suffer like this. Have you thought about divorce? Just waiting for John to change will only hurt you more. I've thought about divorce, but I'm not sure if it's the best choice for me. John had been having an affair shortly after they got married. He would come home late from work, meeting his mistress, and lied about working weekends or business trips to go out with her. Tally had encouraged Helen to consider divorce, but Helen's heart wavered between her trust and love for John and the harsh reality. One night, after an argument with John, Helen called me in tears. It might be over. It seems John has someone else named Shelley. Helen's voice was filled with despair, yet she tried to sound strong. The conflicts between her and John had been frequent. And the flamboyant woman I saw earlier was the mistress, Shelley. Moreover, John's contributions to the household gradually decreased, and eventually, he stopped contributing financially, putting the economic pressure solely on Helen. Furthermore, Helen was being bullied by her in-laws, who checked on her to ensure she managed the household properly and even demanded money from her. Helen worked desperately under this pressure, continually earning to support the house. Helen did her best with John's affair, the financial issues, and the in-laws. I had no idea. I was unaware of everything. I didn't know anything. From Helen, I heard that they had a good marriage and got along well with their in-laws. But that was just Helen's kindness, not wanting to worry me. And then Tally said she had something she wanted to give me. We promised to meet again later. On my way back to the funeral home after talking with Tally, I came across John and Sandy talking. We inadvertently hit ourselves. The life insurance could be up to $160,000. Let's move to a high-rise condo. I can't stop laughing. Hey, when are we moving in? We'll move in soon, gotta get everything ready. Yeah, let's look for a place on the way back. Whoa, this outfit isn't gonna cut it. Right, let's change first. We've got lots to buy. Tally and I were devastated. To think that John was this kind of man. After making Helen work so hard. It seems they planned to move into a tower condo with the insurance money. Those two. Driving Helen to this point and then living in a luxury condo with the insurance money. Unbelievable, what are they talking about? Aren't they the ones who drove Helen to this? I'll never forgive them. Tally seemed to be deep in thought. At that moment, I decided to avenge Helen's regrets. But, we need to find proof of what these two did to Helen. What was it that Tally said she wanted to show me? There might be something that can serve as evidence. Since the day Helen died, John and Shelley had been coldly planning to use Helen's insurance money. They planned to live a lavish lifestyle with the insurance and inheritance money. The two dreamed of moving to a luxury high-rise condo in downtown. At night, the two met secretly at John's house. John was calculating the insurance money on a calculator, and Sandy was searching online for luxury condos. Now we can finally live the life we've dreamed of. John, with a smirk of superiority, said, after Helen is gone, we'll get the insurance money and can live in that dream condo. Sorry, Helen, but it must be fate. A new condo life, trips abroad, dinners at fancy restaurants. Thanks to Helen, it's all possible. Sandy couldn't hide her excitement imagining their lavish future life. There wasn't a trace of gratitude or respect for Helen in this merciless plan. To them, Helen was just a means to fulfill their desires. Their plan to use everything Helen had built and turn her death into a stepping stone for their bright future revealed the true nature of John and Sandy. Their actions were a betrayal to Helen, completely trampling on her struggles and efforts during her life. As for me, I contacted the number I had heard and arranged to visit Tally's house the next weekend. Then came the weekend. "Hello, Sandy. Thank you for coming all this way." "It's no problem." "What is it that you wanted to show me, Tally?" "It's this." Actually, Helen had hired a detective to gather evidence of an affair. And there's even this audio. Helen had photos of the two entering a hotel, arm in arm, audio of confronting John about the affair, protesting about not bringing money home, being harassed by her in-laws, and being pestered for money. She had left a perfect amount of evidence. After doing all this, why did Helen? Maybe she still wanted to believe in John. She must have been gathering it in case she decided to divorce. But she couldn't keep it at home, so I was holding on to it. That must have been hard for you, Helen. When the photographic evidence was handed over, a letter fell out. Huh? Was there a letter? A letter? From Helen, perhaps? They decided to open the letter. Inside were two separate pieces. One is to me, and the other is to my mother. They read the letters. Tally's letter candidly spoke of Helen's marital difficulties, John's infidelity, and the financial pressures she faced. To my only best friend, Tally. To you, who have been an immeasurable support in my life. Thank you for crying with me during tough times and always being by my side. Helen. And the letter to me was filled with gratitude for my love and support as a mother. To my mother, the most important person in my life. If you are reading this, I might be gone. Without your unconditional love and support, I wouldn't be who I am today. No matter how tough times were, you were my irreplaceable guide. Helen also mentioned in the letter to me that she had entrusted her will to Tally. Mother, Tally is holding my last will. She is like a member of our family. I trust that my wishes will be properly honored. Helen. From Helen's letter, the deep love for me and Tally, and gratitude for the support received in overcoming tough situations were conveyed. Helen showed her trust in Tally by entrusting her will, hoping her wishes would be preserved even after her departure from this world. Tally, did you keep Helen's will? Yes, I never thought it would come to this, so I initially refused. But she insisted, saying it was just in case, so I took it. I'm sorry for putting you through this. No, you don't have to apologize, Sandy. Then Tally brought out the will. We opened the will. It was filled with Helen's deep compassion, love, and wishes for the future. Helen was worried her estate might be misused by John and Shelley, but she had more important goals in mind. After much thought about what will happen after I leave this world, I decided to give my wealth back to society. Helen realized her estate might be squandered by them, and instead chose to donate it to charitable organizations. The names of the charities she wanted to donate to were also written. Helen's choice was influenced by the life lessons she learned from her own struggles and challenges, and the importance of contributing to society. My greatest wish is for my wealth to be used to support those in need and benefit society. Helen's will expressed a hope that her legacy would enrich people's lives and alleviate some of the pain and difficulty she faced. Perhaps Helen knew she wouldn't live much longer. The will was detailed. Helen's testament reflected the lifestyle and beliefs she cherished, hoping that her memories and aspirations would live on. Receiving Helen's will and letter, Tally and I were determined to fulfill her final wishes, amidst deep sorrow. We vowed to honor Helen's wishes and translate them into concrete actions. What Helen left us was love and courage. We must carry on her legacy and fulfill it rightly. Tally, too, vowed to devote herself to fulfilling Helen's wishes. We can't betray Helen's trust. We must safeguard Helen's wishes and spread the love she left to the world. However, when Tally and I learned of John and Sandy's plans for Helen's insurance money and estate, rage ignited within us. Knowing that John and Sandy were exploiting Helen's death for their own gain, Tally and I felt a deep anger. It's unforgivable to satisfy their own desires using Helen's suffering. We will protect Helen's will. John and Shelley must be held accountable. To uphold justice against those who trampled on Helen, Tally and I vowed vengeance. And with a heavy sigh, I picked up the phone. While waiting for John to answer, I pondered how to convey the words Helen left behind. Hello, this is John. John, it's me. Sandy, Helen's mother. Oh, Helen's mom. What's up? Is something wrong? John's voice mixed anxiety and curiosity. He speculated there must be a special reason for this sudden contact from Helen's mother. John, actually, Helen left a will before she passed away. I wanted to tell you about it. A will? What does it contain? I lost words for a moment. The weight of Helen's words left behind couldn't be conveyed in this brief conversation. I didn't intend to reveal the contents here. I would like to explain the details later in the presence of a lawyer, and not just to you, John, but I'd like your relatives to be there as well. We want to confirm together what Helen has left for us. John seemed to freeze for a moment, curious about the contents and probably aware of his own actions. Understood. When will this be? I will contact you again about the date. Please inform your parents as well. After hanging up, I smiled faintly at Helen's photo, hoping her final message left in this world would be conveyed correctly and reach everyone. Helen, I will convey it properly. Then the day to reveal the will to everyone arrived. Wanting everyone to know what happened to Helen, I invited family and related persons. Thank you all for gathering today. I was also unaware that Helen had left a will. Today we have the lawyer present as well. In the silence, the lawyer began to read Helen's will, his voice resonating in the tense atmosphere of the conference room. I, Helen, hereby donate my entire estate to a charitable organization with the aim of social contribution. This is my own decision, hoping that my life will be of benefit to someone else. John and Shelley's faces drained of color. Their envisioned future dissipated in an instant. But what about the insurance money? Is it the same with that? The lawyer took a deep breath and answered quietly. Helen decided to leave no estate to John. The reason being the emotional abuse John inflicted on Helen, which disqualifies him from the inheritance. This, my daughter's will. As a husband, be ashamed. The room filled with disbelief. John was speechless, and Shelley just stared at the floor. Then the lawyer took out another envelope. I have a letter here from Helen addressed to John, Shelley, and the in-laws. Helen, you wrote more letters. As the lawyer read it, the content spelled out Helen's heartache. I made this decision because the mental anguish you caused was too great. Every day, my heart felt shackled. But through this letter, I hope my voice is finally heard. Helen's letter detailed the countless scars she bore, her ignored cries, and the extent of her suffering caused by John, his affair, and his family. By the end, the room was enveloped in heavy silence. Helen's will and letters were her final stand, revealing truths she couldn't express in life. Helen always had a compassionate heart, yet she carried great pain. This letter details the pain she felt and her strong will to live. John and Shelley were forced to face the consequences of their actions. This letter, it's a lie. We didn't do anything. No, the content of this letter is true. Here is the proof. I played the recordings of the affair evidence collected by Helen and the harsh words John, Shelley, and the in-laws had said to her. There was also audio that Tally had secretly recorded during the funeral, where John and Shelley discussed happily about the insurance money and their plans to use it. You can't deny this. How much you made Helen suffer, how much she suffered. No, this is. I know you were preparing to move to a tower mansion with Helen's insurance money. You even paid a deposit, but not a penny of that insurance money will go to you. Tally and I will carry on Helen's will. Why would Helen donate everything to a charity? John, you don't know the struggles we, mother and daughter, went through. Losing her father at a young age, experiencing many hardships living just the two of us. As she grew up, Helen realized many people in the world were suffering like us and wanted to help. I always taught Helen, we can overcome difficulties because of the bonds between people. Helen always said we had been supported by many and now we hoped to support others. The charity she chose is the one I started. What? I head this organization, which responds to various needs in the community, providing tangible assistance like education, food, medical, and housing support. Helen, having directly or indirectly benefited, might have seen it. We wanted to transform our experience of overcoming hardships into supporting others. Helen wished her estate would contribute to society and support those in suffering even after she's gone. You have no right to criticize Helen's choices. What about our dreams? With Helen's entire estate donated to charity, their plans shattered, yet they couldn't accept this reality. Their plans were fundamentally overturned by Helen's thoughtful decision. For John and Shelley, who had dreamt of moving to a high-rise condo and even paid a deposit, this truth was despair itself. The debt incurred for the condo's deposit and further debts planned for lavish spending relying on Helen's insurance money. These realities heavily shackled their feet, dragging them back from their dreams to a harsh reality. John and Shelley painfully realized how reckless their step towards chasing dreams had been. Their planned affluent life was destroyed by Helen's will, leaving them with only insurmountable debt. Because of Helen, everything is ruined. Really, we're drowning in debt, what do we do? Is it really Helen's fault, or is it because you were blinded by greed? They couldn't counter Tally's words, just falling silent. John, Shelley, in-laws, you did terrible things to Helen, you should apologize from the heart. But even apologies won't bring Helen back. Helen's will and wishes will forever remain in their hearts as her last message left in this world. All that was left for them were the regrets of lost dreams and the reality of facing their debt. Helen's will shattered their dreams, drastically changing John and Shelley's lives. The once dreamed of condo move became a distant memory, now living in a cramped, run-down apartment, chased by daily debt. This life was far from the future they once envisioned. Constant quarrels filled their days, with no trace of former affection visible between them. The pressure of debt repayment only strained their relationship further. This wasn't supposed to happen. Your fault. My life is a mess now. My fault? You're the one who planned on Helen's insurance money. Blame thrown between them had become a routine part of their daily lives. The passion and hope they once had while pursuing their dreams vanished, now just suffering under the reality of debt, blaming each other. The debt repayment became an overwhelming burden for them, with no prospect of escaping their financial distress. The loss of the deposit for the condo, compounded by the debts from their lavish spending expecting Helen's insurance money, weighed down on them like a noose tightening around their necks. Determined to do anything for survival, John toiled in day labor, but that income was far from enough to cover the debt, and their life grew increasingly difficult day by day. I can't stand this life anymore. Every day is too painful. But I can't run away. I have no choice but to accept this life. Gone were the voices of aspiration and expectation, leaving only a desperate resolve to somehow survive the harsh reality. The plight John and Shelley were experiencing was the result of their own choices, engraving Helen's lesson into their hearts. After the public reading of Helen's letter, the in-laws' actions reached a peak of anger and disappointment among the relatives. The impact of Helen's letter affected not just the in-laws but the entire family surrounding them, crumbling the status the in-laws once held within the family. Relatives began distancing themselves one after another, and the once held bonds were lost. The in-laws had lost the trust and respect of their close relatives due to their actions. We never thought we were hurting Helen this much. We've become isolated from the family. The consequences of their actions were irreversible. Since losing Helen, my life changed drastically. The loneliness of Helen's departure was immeasurable, and to distract from this grief, I intensified my work at the charity I started. Keeping Helen's cherished thoughts in mind and more actively supporting those facing hardships to continue fulfilling Helen's wishes. Through the charity, I met many people and worked together for the community. Where I met someone who deeply shared my passion for social contribution and supported my charitable efforts. Our relationship gradually developed, leading to marriage. The sadness of Helen's absence will never fade, but I feel that carrying on her wishes and moving forward is the best path for me. My new partner and I joined forces to fulfill Helen's wishes, further enhancing the charity's activities. We launched numerous projects under Helen's name, expanding support for those facing difficulties. Helen's spirit continues to live through this organization. What Helen left us was not just donations but deep love and compassion for people, and the courage to act on it. Through this organization, we shape Helen's love into tangible actions, continuing to reach out to those in need. The charity imbued with Helen's spirit will remain a support for many people into the future.